A propaganda campaign hits mainland China, warning of the great cost in human lives that the invasion will incur. While some of the younger Chinese population is disturbed by the prospect of invasion, the older Chinese population has been told for decades that the Chinese military could easily crush any Taiwanese resistance. The effect of the propaganda campaign barely affects the invasion plans. Other Taiwanese operations, however, are far more effective. Special forces ambush and assassinate several high-ranking People's Liberation Army officers, as well as key politicians. The morale of the Chinese military is rocked as the realization that Taiwan can strike so deep into the mainland hits the mostly conscripted troops. Taiwanese saboteurs destroy several railways, highway bridges, and power plants across the nation, causing massive delays in moving troops and equipment to the staging areas. The Chinese economy takes a small dive as jittery investors sell stock and hoard capital in anticipation of a worsening situation. Across the strait, however, Chinese agents are also busy at work. The Chinese don't blow up bridges and rail lines, as the Taiwanese are already prepared to do that themselves as they fight a defensive retreat from the landing beaches. Instead, Chinese special forces and undercover operatives strike at Taiwanese military and civilian leadership. Several Taiwanese generals are killed, as well as some low-ranking government officials. However, Taiwan has long prepared for exactly this scenario, and their security measures are extremely robust. Taiwanese civilians, however, aren't so well protected, and several prominent pro-independent celebrities and activists are all murdered by Chinese agents. China's willingness to kill civilians, though, only further emboldens the Taiwanese defenders. They will not be ruled by the CCP. April and its calmer weather finally arrives, and the Chinese invasion begins. The opening act of the Chinese operation to reunify Taiwan is the greatest missile strike in human history. China maintains one of the world's largest arsenals of non-nuclear ballistic and land-sea attack missiles, operated by the PLARF, its military service dedicated to missile combat. Hundreds of missiles streak out across the Taiwan Strait in the opening salvo, each one aimed at a predetermined target chosen years before as new invasion plans are drafted and updated. Power plants, government buildings, military airfields, and installations are all saturated with missile strikes. And after several waves of hundreds of missiles each, every civilian and military airfield on the island has been cratered. Every government building has been destroyed, and the only working power plants are over the mountains on the east side of the island, which are more difficult to hit. Yet Taiwan has its own missiles, and it responds with a lesser volume but no less lethal attack. Taiwan's missiles are aimed at the invasion staging areas, decimating troops waiting to board their landing ships and hitting many of the most forward airfields. Radar and communications nodes along the east coast of China are targeted, and dozens are destroyed by Taiwanese cruise missiles. The real cost of a Taiwan invasion is starting to sink in for the troops even now putting out to the sea. Screaming over the heads of soldiers sailing to Taiwan are hundreds of Chinese fighters and bombers. Though Taiwan's airfields have been devastated, the country has planned for this too, and its fighters have been for a long time safely housed in mountain bunkers capable of withstanding a nuclear attack. Highways are turned into airfields, and Taiwan's fighters take to the air to meet the teeth of the Chinese attack. Taiwan holds its fighters safely shielded from targeting and detection behind the mountains that run along the middle of the island. This is a major problem for China's own fighters, who are forced to seek out the Taiwanese American-made F-16s and indigenously made FCK-1Cs. As they cross the west of Taiwan, road mobile air defenses too agile to be targeted by missile strikes light up the Chinese plains, as Taiwan's air forces ambush the Chinese from behind the mountain. The initial sorties are overwhelmingly in Taiwan's favor, but China has over 1,200 combat aircraft. Taiwan only has 289. Not all of China's air force can be deployed, however, both because of logistical issues and because of a lack of suitable airfields near enough the conflict zone. This levels the playing field somewhat, but China still has a sizable numbers advantage. The Taiwanese defenders fight valiantly in the air, but they're forced to pick their fights and can't defend every military unit under air attack. Thousands of ships steam across the Taiwanese Strait. Most are civilian vessels, very poorly suited for amphibious operations of any kind. Only a few are proper amphibious assault ships. The landing fleet is escorted by Chinese destroyers and guided missile cruisers, who are busily searching the waterway for a deadly threat. Anti-submarine warfare, however, is something the People's Liberation Army Navy is extremely poorly equipped to undertake. All 4 of Taiwan's submarines have been dedicated to this fight. Now they lurk under predetermined positions in very deep waters, barely making a noise. Even